Hello and welcome to another episode of Soul and Screen. In this particular video, we will be continuing the conversation on soul ties as it pertains to the TV show Tyler Perry's Sisters, and we are utilizing the situationship between Zac, Fatima, and Karen. So picking up where I left off is Zac has been invited over to have a discussion with Karen. Zac actually, Fatima and Aaron have been invited to come over by Karen's mom to have a conversation with her. Karen's mom is attempting to try to allow Karen the space and place to vent and say whatever she got to say to everybody involved, so that hopefully that will stop her from stressing out and alleviate any stress and possible harm to her, the baby, and the pregnancy. So picking up from there, basically Miss Lisa tells Zac to come in. Zac walks in and Karen has an attitude immediately. Now, mind you, she was just having a conversation with Aaron and just was like, pretty calm and everything. But as soon as Zac comes in, she immediately, her countenance changes, like she has an attitude immediately. And he's like, hey, and Miss Lisa's like, you remember Aaron? He's like, yeah, hey. And then he goes, hey, Karen. And so she goes, Zac, all dry and everything. And so he looks and he can tell she already in a bad mood. So he's not trying to deal with it. And so Miss Lisa goes, okay, so cool. She was like, so is your girlfriend coming? And Zac is like, nope, she not. And so she goes, oh, that's too bad. And so he was like, sorry. And Karen, her eyes is rolling the whole time Zac is talking to her mom about Fatima. So then she goes, okay, well, go ahead and have a seat. We can eat. And he goes, Miss Lisa, I'm really not hungry. Can we just go ahead and get this going? And she's like, Zac, have a seat. And so he just go ahead and sit down. Fast forward into it a little bit more. They're finished eating. They all sitting at the table. And, Aaron, he all like, ooh, cool, I'm part of the family. But Zac is like, a little standoffish because he ready to go. And so he looks at his phone and Miss Lisa goes, what, are you looking to see if she's calling you? And so he goes, no, but let me put a pin here. Like, real talk, he been there this whole time. He didn't come over for dinner. He came over to have a discussion and to get this going. So him and Karen are no longer a couple, which is something that obviously it seems like Miss Lisa is missing as well, just like her daughter, because yeah, she could be calling, like, if he's been over there close to an hour, which Karen says later on, like, so she goes, oh, you don't even have an hour to spare of your time. And so he was like, it's been more than an hour. But let me, again, continue to say that, yeah, actually, it is too long to be at your ex's house because you guys are not a couple. Zac is not obligated to come over and help Karen get through her situation of stress that she's going through. This is not Zac's responsibility. This is really Karen's thing to work through. So the fact that he asked his girlfriend, she said yes, she's okay with him going over there to help, is them doing you guys a favor. But being there like for a long period of time, which it doesn't sound like he intended on being there that long, it is time for him to go. I don't have an hour of my time that I could be spending with the woman that I'm in a relationship with and in love with. An hour of that taking time away from her to spend with you in your drama, Karen. So anyway, he goes, we've been here more than an hour. And she, gets an attitude and she's like, please, and so Miss Lisa's like, so is this what you two do? And he goes, no, not me, her. And she's like, me? And he goes, yeah. And she was like, you know what, Ma, I don't want to do this. I'm not doing this. And so Miss Lisa's like, no, you're going to do this, Karen. So Zac is like, well, what are we doing anyway? And Aaron is coming in like, man, just let him talk. Now, Zac is like, man, I ain't talking to you because Aaron needs to step back because he's known these women for on and off again 3 years. So the way that they have a discussion and the way they interact, Aaron needs to have a seat. So anyway, Aaron goes, well, we don't want to stress her out. He goes, I ain't stressing her out. And so Karen goes, y'all both been stressing me out. And he goes, well, fine, then I can leave. And so Miss Lisa's like, no, Zac, please just stay. And so Karen comes with this line and she's like, nah, Mama, that's what he does. When you say something that he don't like, he leave. Now, let me put a pause here. You broke up with him, kicked him out your house, started dating somebody else, and moved on. he did the same. He went and found another person to be involved with. Now, he just happens to fall in love with the woman that he went with. Now, what that got to do with him leaving because you told it, or being mad because and then leaving? Like, I was just like, Karen, what are you talking about? Girl, you kicked this man out. He did not get into an argument with you and leave. You guys got into an argument. You broke up with him. You kicked him out. He left and he moved on, and he didn't come back when you wanted him to. So, I'm not really sure what she meant about that, and I feel like they should have let Zac clarify that in that little moment, but they didn't. So, again, no shade to the writers, just moving on. So, anyway, Miss Lisa stops them, and she's like, listen, I told Karen to write a letter. She's going to read it to you guys. I just need you guys to sit here and listen so that she can get things off her chest, basically. And Zac is like, are you kidding me? And so, Aaron popping in again, man, just, and so he went off on Aaron again, like, man, quit talking to me. Like, I don't know how many times I got to tell you to quit talking to me. And Miss Lisa interjects, and she tells Karen to read her letter. And she goes, who first? And she goes, you choose. So she went to Aaron first. She starts reading her letter to Aaron. And she's like, hey, Aaron, you came in at a bad time. Like, I was breaking up with someone who I thought I was going to be together with for the rest of my life. And she just starts talking more and more about, like, her relationship with Zac, what it was and how it started, kind of. And then she's like, you came in doing all the things that I wanted to be, that a man wanted a man to do. You purchased things, you bought things, you offered to do all, like, everything was transactional. You offered to pay for things, you offered to, just that kind of thing. She's like, everything that I wanted a man to do, but I wanted to be done by Zac. And so Zac is like, rolling his eyes and stuff like that, because, like, who want to sit here and hear all this kind of, you doting on this other dude and telling people who I'm not, and the kind of, a bad man that I've been to you. Like, don't nobody want to listen to that. But anyway, he continued to let her vent and everything. And so she basically tells Aaron that, she does care about him and maybe even has a slight level of love for him, but that she's in love with Zac, and she don't even know if she'll ever love anybody else alike she has been in love with Zac. And so fast forward a little bit more, she ends up telling him that she just don't know if she knows how to let him love her and be the man that he wants to with her. And he tells her, I think it's worth a try. And she's like, all right, well, I'm just saying, I don't really know if I know how to do that. So Aaron basically was telling her, okay, he's willing to basically kind of stand by her and walk this whole thing through no matter what. So you fast forward into the episode a little bit more. She's having an emotional experience with everything that she just said to him. So they go to calm her down. While they're coming out of the room, they're like, it's Zac's turn. So Zac is like, okay, so cool. So first thing that she tells Zac is, first of all, I want you to know that this is not a personal attack on you, which obviously means she about to come at him, and he knew it. Right before she starts reading the letter, there's a knock at the door, and Miss Lisa goes and answers it, and it's Fatima. And Fatima, she introduces herself. She was like, hi, I'm looking for Zac. I'm Fatima. And so Miss Lisa's like, oh, okay, cool. Come on in. And so Fatima walks in. She, acknowledges and says hi to the room like you're supposed to. And, hey, Aaron. And then she looks at Karen and was like, Karen, And Karen immediately with an attitude. Now, mind you, as soon as she found out it was Fatima at the door, like, if you look at this scene, this picture, if looks could kill, she was looking at Zac like, you mother effer. You know what I mean? Like, she was just infuriated. And so she looks at Fatima and tells, welcome to my home. And so Fatima is just like, okay, I see where we going with this already, because she already got attitude, right? So Fatima goes over, and Miss Lisa's like, please sit down. So she goes over to sit next to Zac. Zac stands, and he's like, I thought you wasn't coming. And she was like, I wasn't. And then Karen goes, well, why did you? And so Fatima looks over at Karen, and Zac is like, no, do not engage, that kind of thing. And so she's like, because I just thought it would be a good idea. And so Miss Lisa was like, I think it's a good idea too. Now Karen rolling her eyes and looking at her mom like, you tripping and all this kind of stuff. So anyway, they sit down, And Fatima looks at Zac, and I love this part of the episode because I think it is very necessary, and I'm so glad that Tyler did not skirt the line and run away from this. Fatima looks at Zac, and she was like, "You not gonna kiss me?" And Zac looks at her, and he was like, "Of course," and they kiss. The reason I say that this is necessary is because Karen is having problems hearing truth from everybody. Zac has told her. Fatima has told her. All her friends are telling her Zac does not want you anymore. Zac has moved on, but she refuses to hear reason. She's not listening to anybody, so she needed this moment to see them as a couple, functioning as a couple. So Zac kisses Fatima, and she literally rolls her eyes and looks at her mom like she just was pissed. Like, now, and Miss Lisa is like rubbing her shoulders and stuff like that. And here's the other thing, like, I understand having a loving and supportive mom and stuff like that, but to me, Miss Lisa pacifies and babies Karen way too much. And so anyway, moving on, they kiss. And then Miss Lisa is like, "So, Fatima, thank you for coming. Do you know what's going on here?" And Fatima's like, "Well, a little." Zac kind of tried to explain it, but if you don't mind, I would love to hear it from you. And so Miss Lisa is explaining to her what's going on. And she's like, basically, I just want to give Karen a chance to be able to tell both of these men who's in this situation with her how she feels. And so she's like, okay, cool. And then so she goes, well, do we all get a chance to say something, or is it just Karen? And so Miss Lisa goes, well, no, it's just Karen. And so Zac is like, yeah, it's always just about Karen. And so she goes, well, she's the one who's having a hard time right now. So I think this should be just for her. And so, Zac is like, please. And so let me just say this, again, I don't know if she originally intended for them to have anything to say, but for you to try to call people over here and just expect for them to sit and listen and have your daughter go off and vent on them and not be able to respond. No, Miss Lisa. So anyway, Zac is just like, whatever. And so Karen is like, well, no, I want to hear what she got to say. And so she was like, you know what? Everybody will get a chance to say something. So anyway, she goes into the letter, and immediately in the letter, she just starts off, Zac, the first time I met you, and she started talking about how she don't like butterflies no more, and she was wondering why. And then she remembered that the first time that they met, it was a butterfly somehow involved, and he was like running from it, and she was like, you was running from it like a bee, like a little bee. And so she was like, and it just made me think that you've ruined basically all the good things and beautiful things in my life. So she continues to tell him basically that you've ruined every good thing for me, and she can't experience anything good because everything that happens to her, she correlates to him. So she's like, I can't even enjoy or this man who is trying to love on me and everything, because when I see him, I see you. You know what I mean? And let me just put a pin here. That is again on Karen. Real talk. You should never let a person have that much control over you, over your good times and things like that. Again, that's to me a part of this effect of this soul tie, that you don't have any happiness unless you are with this person. That's not healthy. You know what I mean? Your happiness shouldn't be tied into anybody else. Now, hear me when I'm saying this. I'm not saying that your significant other, you shouldn't enjoy being with them, right? You should absolutely enjoy being with your significant other. But what I am saying, should things end, of course, there's some time period that, you have to go through healing and things like that. But everything with your happiness, your joy, you moving on, if you're not able to move on and enjoy life after you have separated from this person, and then it's something different. It turned into something way more toxic than a healthy situation, because now you can't experience any happiness. Remember, she left Zac and she started enjoying this time with Aaron, but for whatever reason, again, I still believe it has everything to do with the sex, is that she don't want him now. And so now she's projecting everything onto him, and so onto Zac. So anyway, she goes deeper and deeper, and she's like, and I just kind of basically come to the conclusion that the reason that you didn't, you kept cheating on me and all this is the reason that you didn't stop is because you didn't want to stop. You didn't want to stop cheating on me. You didn't want to stop cheating on me with the strippers and all the people that you worked with and all the money that I poured into you. It just meant nothing. But, she really was just trying to make it seem like, he didn't appreciate anything. And so he, gets mad and he kind of interrupts and he's like, no, so they like try to calm him down and Fatima's like, Zac, just let her finish. And he's like, no, like she acting like, she didn't bring up any of the good times. She didn't bring up any of the fact that I paid her money back and all this kind of stuff. And Karen's like, this not enough. It's not enough. And so Fatima's like, babe, calm down. And she goes, and now that I'm pregnant, and she looks at Fatima and she's like, I'm supposed to be happy, but I can't even enjoy this time because this is not what it's supposed to look like. And she's like, and I know the baby is yours and I want it to be yours and all this kind of stuff. But she continues to go back to how she's not going to be able to enjoy this moment because he's ruined her life. That's basically what she's saying is that I've wasted 3 years of my life with you, hoping that you would get better, hoping that you would treat me the way that I'm seeing you treat Fatima. And now that I know that you can do it, I feel like you didn't want to do it. And that's why I'm mad. And that's really what she's saying. And so she's like, now with this baby, I don't know, how we gonna go forward because basically she's telling him, she was like, I don't trust you. I've tried to trust you over the years. And every time basically I trusted you, you burnt me again. Every time I gave you money, you burnt me, you abused me basically. She's literally saying that she's almost saying everything except she hates this man. And so she's like, and now with this baby, now what we gonna do? I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to get through having this baby and experiencing this baby. I can't even enjoy the fact that I'm pregnant by you because I don't have any good thoughts for you. You know what I'm saying? And so let me put a pin here. And I know this probably won't be well received, but what I am saying is that Karen is the only one who, during both of her sexual encounters with Aaron and Zac, knew that she was off the pill. Once again, I totally believe that Karen intended to trap Zac. She always believed that they were in their cycle and that they were somehow going to come back to one another and have sex and get pregnant. So what happened was when she ended up getting pregnant, Zac did not know that she was off the pill, but she did. She thought her and Zac were going to get back together. And what's really infuriating Karen is that Zac never intended or planned on having a family with her. He just didn't, right? You know what I'm saying? Karen got pregnant by accident, through a screw. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that they accidentally had sex. I'm saying that because they could have both stopped it if they wanted to. What I am saying is that he had no knowledge that she was not on the pill anymore. And so with her continuing to bring up that I don't know if I could raise this baby and have this baby and you be the baby's father, but I do want you to be the baby's father. And then one moment I want you, but I don't want you. And it makes me mad. It makes me so effing she going off. You can hear there's this animosity on the inside of her for him that makes me question, do you really want to have this man's baby, right? You are the only one who really holds the cards in this situation. You are a woman. You have choices. You could have chose to abort the baby. You could have chose to say that I actually think we should just give the baby up for adoption because we don't do well with each other. But no, she wanted to utilize that baby as a pawn, basically, or a weapon. There you go, a weapon against Zac. And so even in this conversation, she's like, I don't know if I can do that with you. Well, you're the only one who really can control that. He already said that he can't make you do anything. This is your body, but that this baby is not going to bring you guys back together. And the issue is that Karen is seeing Zac be a better man with Fatima, for Fatima, and she's mad that he didn't do that with her. And now she's lashing out at Fatima for not leaving. But why would she? He's doing everything that I'm good for. He put me in a house. He's being faithful to me since we've committed with each other. Zac is doing everything possible that he can to show Fatima he wants to be with her. So why should she break up? Karen's mad because she knew that she wouldn't stick around for this. And that's the difference between her and Fatima. And that is absolutely any woman's choice. Like Fatima, a lot of people keep saying like they don't have any compassion for Fatima and what's going on with her with her throughout the series, because she chose this. She chose to love a man that she fell in love with. She is in love with this man. She's trying to make it work. He's not a perfect man. She's not a perfect woman, but she wants to be with him. So she's choosing to be with him. What she is not choosing is to be cussed out by his bitter ex-girlfriend who got pregnant through a screw. Like, she brings up this pregnancy as if it was planned, as if it was intentional. He didn't intend to get Karen pregnant. He's intentionally building a home, a house, and family and life with Fatima. That was intention. He means to do that. It was on purpose. He screwed Karen up against the wall in her office. She got pregnant. He trying to make do with it and make the best of this situation. Anyway, after she goes off on Zac, Zac is like, can I go? And Miss Lisa is like, well, don't you have anything to say? And he's like, no, I'm good, And so Fatima's like, no. So she's like, I got something to say. And so she tells Fatima, go ahead. And Karen is already mad, like, oh my goodness, like she got something to say. And so Fatima's like, Karen, so just straight out, real talk, like we've already had this discussion. If this is Zac's baby, I will never hurt your child. And I want you to also know that I know how you feel about Zac. I know you still love him. But what I do need you to understand is that you two are over. Y'all not together. And she was like, yeah, I just said that. So she was like, okay, well, just wanted to make sure that you understand, so that all this popping up at the house and waiting for him, that's got to stop. And her mom is like, wait a minute, you was doing that too? And Fatima was like, yeah, she was. And she goes, and the other thing that needs to stop is you calling me out my name, right? Like, so she breaks down a really good way of saying, like, real talk, me and you, we not friends. And you may call your friends that, and I may call my friends that, but me and you not friends. And so when you call me that, and we not friends, and we not cool, that's a call to war. So, so ain't no more of that. The time has passed and expired on you calling me out my name. Basically, you don't got no more time to do it without me, reaping consequences. And so she basically gets all in a tizzy, like, you can get out my house and everything. So Fatima's like, fine, like, gladly, like, again, we was coming over here to help you out. This is what your mama said was going to help you. You know what I'm saying? So, real talk. Like, so Miss Lisa is like, no. She tries to calm everything down. And she's like, no. And she's like, Karen, if you've been doing this, you need to apologize. She's like, Mama, whose side you on? This is what I'm saying. Like, Karen is spoiled. She's used to getting her way, and Miss Lisa is just like, well, Karen, I've always been about right and wrong is wrong, and so you need to apologize. And she throws a tantrum and stands up and like, I'm not doing this. It's way more than like, you don't know the full story, Mama, and it's more to the reason why I called her out her name, which is absolute lie. But she's like, but I'm not doing this. Y'all can all get out my house. Get out my effing house. And then she storms off. And literally, Miss Lisa is just like in disbelief, which I'm just like, really? Like, because this does not seem to be out of character. Like, Karen, this pregnancy, you can't put everything on this pregnancy and her hormones, right? Like, this is Karen, and she's lashing out, and she's still mad. And anyway, Fatima and Zac are like, can I go? And Fatima's like, Miss Lisa, in all honesty, I really do hope this works. But also, she did mention like possibly having Karen go get an ultrasound to find out the week of conception, so that they can find out when the baby was conceived and stuff like that. And Aaron basically told her that she, that he knows it was a week apart. Now, he again knows for sure because he walked in on her and Zac having sex, and then he went and had sex with her. Again, according to the dialogue, it says a week, 7 days later, but according to the clothing that they were wearing in the show, it was the next day. So anyway, he's the only one outside of Karen who knows. Zac didn't know any of this. So all that to say that it's still too close of a window for Karen to be able to try to absolutely pin this pregnancy on Zac and say he's the dad, but she continues to keep doing that. So anyway, that's pretty much the episode for the letter. Tell me what you thought about it. Like, did you think that from a parent perspective, if you have grown children, like, is this something that you would have done? I don't have grown children. I don't have children, but I also don't think that my mom, who is a very good mom, like my mom parented me well. I don't think that she would have necessarily orchestrated the thing. She probably would have been like, maybe, suggested it, but I'm also a different personality than Karen. So let me say it that way. But I think it was weird that, Miss Lisa had to call a mediation, like their kids for Karen's, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I understand wanting to support your daughter and give her that support, but I think that Karen has been babied for so long. And this is the reason why we're getting these actions, in addition to her being entangled in a demonic and toxic soul tie. She's also very, very much so bratty and spoiled. So I think that's why we're getting that. But I would love to hear any thoughts and comments from the moms out there, whether you have grown children or just younger children. Do you think that you would handle this the same way in regards to the situation with Karen? Do you think she handled, I don't really know if I'm going to hear people say she handled it right, because she was very venomous and toxic, when this could have been a really good and cordial conversation where she was able to say that, Zac, I don't appreciate how things went, but she, allowed her feelings to take over, which is fine if that's what she needed. But do you agree when I say that Zac nor Fatima owed her that closure? That's something that, again, was offered, and they were trying to be respectful, and neither one of them necessarily want to cause her any harm or hurt or anything like that. So they did it to help her through this process, because they're good. Once again, they happy with each other. Like, unfortunately, Karen isn't, but a lot of this is her own doing, and now other people are trying to deal with the situation as best they can. You cannot get me to believe that Karen did not intend to get pregnant by Zac. Now, I don't think she knew for sure what day it was going to happen, but I do know that she believed that it was going to circle back, because why? This was their pattern and their cycle. They go a couple of days, she needs some time apart, and then they get back together. And then they have sex. She would not have gotten off her birth control pills if she wasn't planning on trying to get pregnant, which at the beginning of the whole season, I believe, or the episode, we ended up seeing her at the doctor's office talking about it. So it's not that she, something wrong for you wanting to be a mom, but the way that she went about becoming one, and now it's become everybody else's issues because she didn't, she didn't close her leg, or at least make Aaron, the man that you just kind of met, put on a condom. So to the point where I know this ain't your baby, because the condom didn't split or nothing like that. We good. You know what I mean? Like, but to go raw and then back to back, you put yourself in a position where, you don't know who the father is. And now everybody is reaping the consequences of that. And they're trying to handle it with as best tact and, consideration that they can, but you keep making it worse. And we'll get a little further into it with the next episodes as we go on, because we'll see that it spirals out of control and other people start to get more pulled in. And at a certain point, everybody who has been trying to maintain the controls over their emotions, at a certain point, it's just like, how much more can I take? So we'll see some different actions come forth from all of them. So anyway, please let me know what you think. Feel free to like, share, and subscribe, but please engage in the conversation, and let's see what we come up with. Talk to you soon. Bye.